Do you guys ever get stuck starting with your reference and then making it into a painting? Getting the composition changed from a photo into a painting? Well, today that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So let's jump into Ziggy on the Beach and see what we can get ourselves into. Right, good morning everybody. So we got Ziggy on the beach this morning, and what I'm going to do is this painting has just been laid in, and this is the reference image. So I'm going to go through and talk about a couple of things on here that I'm going to look for and that I might use, and then we'll jump over to the painting and see if we can't execute a few of those things. How does that sound to you guys? Sound all right? All right, let's get going. So let's get our red marker out. Okay, so let's do something a little more than that. Let me say something a little more than that. Let's see. I'm missing some brushes. There we go. All right, Monday morning, huh? Monday morning. There we go. We're finally on the board now. All right. So as I began to say, this painting's really all about this guy right here, about Ziggy. So we want to keep that in mind as we go through each of these pieces, because it's real easy when we're doing this guy to do that guy for that guy and not for this guy. Or when we're doing this, it's real easy to do that for those bushes instead of for that. When we do the ocean, when we do the sky, when we do the mountains, those are all going to be done for Ziggy. And that includes the sand on the beach is for Ziggy. Okay, you guys get where I'm going here? You need to have a concept, and it needs to be about a singular thing to have a powerful painting. Then once you have that concept, all of your other information, everything else you want to do, gets fed through that concept. How do I want to paint the color of the sand? Well, how it's going to put Ziggy looking best. How would I like to paint the second dog? Well, what's going to make Ziggy look the best? Hey, what about those bushes? How should I design those? Hey, what would make Ziggy look the best? You know those waves on the ocean? Those are pretty sexy. How could you do that to make Ziggy look the best? Do you guys get where I'm going here? So again, do not copy. Do not copy, right? If I could come through the camera and give you a little slap on the bottom and say, do not copy, I would. Just get that through your head. You're artists, you're painters. We're going to design, okay? We're going to create. We're going to do more than copy. Okay, so that we're clear on that, and then I feel better, get that off my chest. Whew, sorry, I've been harboring those feelings. I don't want to be passive aggressive or anything, so let's just lay it out on the table. So now that we've established that this is about what? Ziggy. This is all about Ziggy here. Okay, so with that in mind, what I'm going to talk about is, does that color help Ziggy or is it hurting? Right? Is the design of this helping Ziggy or hurting Ziggy? The placement of the lightest water, that, and then also not only the placement, the size, the shapes, the edges, are the colors helping Ziggy? Okay? So everything is going to be about this very, very, what should I say? I'm going to say cute dog, but I don't know if that's appropriate. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Okay? So there's any questions on what this is about? Are you sure? Go ahead, take a minute. No, it's not about the beach. No, it could be though. Nope, it's not about the waves. That's right, it's about Ziggy. All right, so let's get Ziggy with it. So the first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to establish my dark up here. Now, when we do our paintings, we go from gross or crude to more sensitive and delicate and subtle, right? So all I get to do on this sometimes is kind of the gross, crude part, but that is also the part that's going to make or break your painting. If you don't get this part right, there's no little detail that you're going to be able to put on these big blocks that's suddenly going to make this thing work. Okay, this thing is a whole, it works together, and no little cute little stroke or anything like that will ever fix that. So right from the beginning, we're thinking about the entire painting. And the entire painting, once more, is about one thing. And in this painting, it's about what? It's about Ziggy, the black and white dog. Okay, so let's get gross then, huh? Let's get gross. So I love Ziggy up here. And again, I'm not going to talk about, it's real important to have a good gesture and these forms, a bend on this side and a stretch on the other. This morning, I'm not going to talk about that, but I am going to talk about, he's got some light and shadow on here. I will put that on there. Let's go ahead and talk about that because that'll show his form and then the form shadow. I guess that's probably still a cast shadow. It's going to run like that. This side of the face is dark. So all I'm doing is kind of evening these tones out. So what I'm working with are these big flat shapes because big flat shapes are easier to move around and design. And what else are they? They're easier to see. So when you're trying to find the composition, it is imperative that you're working with pieces that you can clearly see. And you're not having to guess, is this that or is this that? Again, gross. We start with the gross. We start with the big. All right, and that's going to run almost all the way back like that. Okay? And I usually won't slow down this much this early, but it is important to establish Ziggy here. Now, since this is all about Ziggy, let's think about a couple of things. Uh-oh, he's getting his red marker out. Oh, man. So again, we're looking at all of this. And if this is about that shape right there, right, just looking at that, could you say, oh yeah, this whole painting is about that shape? No, you wouldn't get that sense. It doesn't seem that important. Right? It seems to me like that beach occupies a much greater space on here than what this is supposed to be about. So, from that fact, I would go, so this is about Ziggy, and I like him going here, and I like him coming out there. but he's kind of doing that, right? He's doing that, and then we're doing that. You see where I'm going here? If this is what the painting's really about, then maybe it should do that and that. So I see what you're doing here, and in one way you've got the right idea. And what he's doing is he's thinking about a movement right through this canvas. And I can see that real clearly, like where he's going to lead me here. So this is the idea. Just on that idea, if we were to move anything around, I think that's too much. Because what that does is it's the most back there and it's right on top of that. So out of this shape, what kind of movement do you feel? Well, that's the axis, that's the shape there, and so the painting's stuck. Whereas if you'd have took it, if we take this, meaning that lightest part, that strongest part right there, and put it here, then we're doing that. You know, I mean, when I say we're doing that, we're talking about that shape, you know, that movement, because this is the most, this is the most, and this is the most. Okay, and then when we get up here, right, we've got that, and then we've got this. Okay, so anybody new around here may think I'm being a bit heavy-handed, but I'm talking with a really advanced student here. So no matter where I am on these, what I'm trying to do is to talk specifically to the student and talk about what's next. And sometimes that's going to involve talking about ideas and theories, and sometimes that's going to be about going onto the canvas and making marks. Okay, I'm starting this a little theory heavy today because this is where our friend is. And our friend says that he wants to move along. So friendo, if we look at all of this, what does that really give us? Okay, I can see you seeing it right now as I point it out. And that's another reason I kind of draw this out a little bit. Because I hope that you'll participate and actually try to answer the questions I'm asking in your mind on the thing, throw it into the chat. But answer that question, because then you're participating and then you can hear the answer. But if you're not asking the questions, you're not going to hear the answer. Okay, so all of that was to say, I think Ziggy needs to come up here. All right, so make him like that. All right, and then again, since we're coming from this corner, we're not coming here, but now we're coming way over here. So it's a bigger, stronger, longer movement. Rather than little, short, quick, sharp ones that are all the same. Okay, we do not want our painting looking like that. But we need some space. We need some different rhythms. We need to slow down. We need to speed up, right? And one of the things you'll hear me say is if we're in class, I talk about us being fence builders. And what I mean by that is we're very, very apt to do like the same. And so we really have to struggle to overcome that. All right. Enough of your chit chat, Jason. Let's give the people what they came for. Okay, so again, with the idea of being gross, now if that nose looked back from there, right? I've just took that mark and I'm moving it up here because that's how I'm going to move the head. Why that mark? Well, this mark, look at that. That's a direction, right? As strong as his gesture going this way is a direction. And then what does this do to this first movement? It changes its direction. Okay? So again, this is a little bit of an advanced lesson, but ultimately what a painting is about, there's many ways to see it. The way I choose to look at a painting is its most fundamental. Right? Just not assuming anything of the person, that they know the references, that they know my culture, that they know anything else. I know what kind of paint is going to make their eye go to a particular place and what kind of paint is going to not show up or recede, right? So we can think about paint either advancing towards the viewer or receding towards the viewer, being more attractive, being less attractive, being more coming forward, being less coming back, being specific coming forward, being less coming back. Why am I doing this? Why am I saying these words over and over and over again? This is how I think. This is how I paint. I don't paint CAD red plus CAD yellow with a little white and then gray that off a little bit, and then we want that at that texture. That tells me nothing unless it's in relationship to every other mark on the canvas. So start reading all of your marks as either specific, advancing, more, right? Focus, or receding, going away, not of interest. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these not of interest points and make like a riverbank through the canvas that's going to hold the points of interest that are going to flow, pull and slow down and trickle and go fast through that canvas. All right, have I gone off the deep end? Please let me know if I need to reel it back, if we've left the basics. All right. So let's see if I can calm myself down now after getting myself all excited. I get excited about the possibilities and what can be done. When I'm in that state, when I can see it simply and I'm enthusiastic about what I'm doing, that's when I want to paint the painting, right? Everything prior to that, I would consider study or thinking about or contemplating or figuring out. And that may be several paintings, it may be little studies, it may be compositional studies, whatever it is. But you're not ready to do the painting until one, you can see it very simply and very clearly in your mind. In other words, you see the finish before you begin. And two, you see it extremely simply. Right? You've got to have the vision to get there. By using simple pieces, that means you'll make it. If you get too many pieces, even if you have a strong vision, right? Let's say you need to move a table from the dining room into the formal dining room. Okay, but you can't do it by yourself. This is an 8 to 10 person table. It's going to take, 4 or 5 guys. All right, so you put the call out. 75 of them come into your house. Now there's not even room to move the table. Okay, and this is the tendency of everybody when they start painting. I'm going to have a party on this canvas, and I'm going to invite all of the paint I know. And it just can't fit on the canvas. It fits on the canvas fine, but where it doesn't fit is in the viewer's attention. Right? And it just, for some reason, it takes us so long to accept and to see that. One very simple thing is going to be stronger and a more effective painting than 75 different things, working in different directions. Okay, Mr. Big Words, as Izzy would say. Mr. Big Words, what are we going to do? Well, let's just roughly think about maybe moving this up here. And again, I'm going to talk about the big, the gross, the big pieces, right? So this isn't going to be subtle. That head's going to surround that. All right, come down here. We're going to have a nose down there. And what am I trying to do? I'm trying to use most of the canvas with this. Right? That's one way I can say this is important. Right? This takes up most of the time in my life because it's the most important thing to me. See what I'm saying? This is important to me, so... Well, you tell me this is important to you, but last week you only spent 15 minutes doing this. Did you spend more time? Well, then your time budget is saying something different than your mouth budget. And sometimes we just need that kind of harsh kick. Ouch, Jason. Ouch. I'm so happy to hear that, Susan. And again, I'm not some raving lunatic, but I try to say things with a little enthusiasm in different ways so that people get them. And Susan says it's funny how many times you have to get it before you hear it before you get it. And she got that riverbank idea. So good, good, good. And that's what it's all about is realizing, because once you realize it, then you're free. What do I mean by? Well, then you're free to do what you want because you know what it's going to take. You're not scared or limited or, oh, I can't not copy the photograph because then what will happen? Well, you may come up with a bad painting. Or you may come up with a really good painting. Let's see, I'm kind of confusing myself here where we're going. So those legs are going to come out here now, under here. So that's just the black part, right? That's going to go back. There we go. So now that mass of this tells you what? Wow, this must be a big part of the painting. Not only that, but I remember showing this particular artist a cat that from head to tail went about 300 miles. What I mean by that is that there was so much atmosphere in there that the atmosphere between the nose of the cat and the tail of the cat was enough that it could have represented a mountain range. Right? So no matter what the distance is, we want to make it interesting. And Rembrandt addressed this by saying, without atmosphere, a painting is nothing. Ouch. Ouch. But I really like what I did, and I spent a lot of time. Hey, it's not me, it's Rembrandt. Rembrandt's the one saying that. So something to think about. And then, oops, that's white. I can't draw white with black, can I? Nope. So along with that nose, then, what else do we have? Well, that's a beautiful shape, first of all, because, man, that's really going to end that painting strong. Well, just like that nose stopped that, What do we have? We have the pup's feet in white going this way. Do you guys see how that works? So we're going to come up his back, come down his nose, and before we're blown off course this way, look, the gale force wind, not the gale force, a little wind comes in here and takes us that way. Whoa, you weren't kidding about that river. That's some current there, buddy. Yeah, take them for a ride, right? The viewer wants an experience. So what is the opposite of experience? Where there is no change, where things are the same size, where they're right next to or right on top of one another, that's no change. Where there is no change, there is no experience. Let that sink in. Where there is no change, there is no experience. So if you're trying to give the viewer experience, we want to give them as much change as we can. Okay? And that includes the current. This is a different current than that white, than that, right? So even the power of the movements change. We want variety even in the power of the movements. Well, I can barely hold my values together and I don't know how to mix this color and I'm telling you, it does not matter. If you know what you want to do, it's pretty easy to figure out how to do it. But the opposite's not true. You're not going to go and intellectually learn how to do everything without ever experiencing it. Oh, and then what should I do? No, what do you want to do? Then what is it going to take in terms of paint and design and all of that to accomplish it? Now you want to be creative because you want to be an artist. Well, that means your first answer gets set aside and you have to come up with another answer. Oh, that's cute. You gave me one compositional design? That sounds like something your mama might want to see. Why don't you go show that to her, set this aside, and get to work on another compositional study. When you finish that one, that's different from the first one, set that aside and do a third one. Okay? Now, instead of just doing the first thing that came to your mind, you have 3 of them to decide from. Which means you're more informed already about the possibilities, which sets you up in a place to be more creative. But that's just the design, and it's going to take some time to do 3 compositional studies. Okay. Look, I've been working 5 days on these, and so let's paint. Okay, but first let's do a color study. Okay, here you go. Okay, that's cute. Now go show that to your mom, and then after that, set that aside, and I want you to do 3 or 4 different color studies. Now you have this choice of designs, you have this choice of colors, you have this inventory in your mind. You're building a playground, right? You're seeing what works and what doesn't work, right? You've never shown up on the first day of a job and just taken over and boom, boom, boom. But somehow you're going to show up to a painting for the first time and you've never seen it, and boom, it's going to be a Michelangelo? No. Come on, guys. Come on. And when you're not doing these compositional studies just to check it off a list, it's an adventure. You're exploring. What happens if we go this direction? What happens if this grows? What happens if I shrink that? What if? No. You don't ask me. You ask you. And you answer you. Okay, this is always about you against you. And so the best thing you can do is realize that if you want a really nice painting that you want to hang in the house, or that somebody wants to pay you thousands of dollars for, then you got to make it worth thousands of dollars. How could a piece of cotton or a piece of linen be worth thousands of dollars? Well, what if there was an experience on there? And what if it was an incredible experience? So the question I have for you is, how are you going to give them an incredible experience of Ziggy on the beach? How are you going to change those sizes? How are you going to change those movements? How, for instance, would you change this yellow color, which is very, very attractive and doesn't say distance, but says foreground? Right? And then when you change that color, what's going to have to happen is everything else is going to be out of sync. Right? So I actually, instead of a little dip, I don't always, but I like the idea of a taller bush here. Again, since we're so strong here to stop us. All right, after being all theatrical and everything, having my little episode, let's come back to some design, right? And then again, that you got to realize that is really, really strong. And one of the things we want to do is we want to go from a steep angle in our foreground, and then as we get into our backgrounds, we've got to start going less and less, right? So foreground would be boom, and then we're going to go less and less and less. Okay, so that's a principle, just like big to smaller piece 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 says distance. Those angles say the same thing, right? And since we've got such a strong angle on the dog's back, what we want is we need to pretty quickly, immediately calm that down. And so I might even give a little distance, a little, since this is so strong, what that means is that we can have some more space here of some beach. And when I'm thinking beach, I'm just thinking gray vagueness, nothing. Gray vagueness. Because you know what? This is a lot of experience here. And after I've had a big experience, I need to let everything just calm down a little bit. Right? So I need a break. I need, no, you don't keep going on the roller coaster. You get out for a minute. And that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to get out for just a minute. And then we just have a little room for something else, right? Just real small. All right, guys, I have a class at 9. I hope you had as much fun as I did. And I'm such good friends with this person. I was a little more freer to be myself. So let me know if you've called the psych ward or if this was interesting to you. Just like to know where I'm falling on the spectrum. That's all. And I'll be back today at 1:30. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. And what else? I'm blank. I so into this painting, I can't remember what else. 1:30 today for demo and 8 o'clock tonight for masterwork. Tomorrow night we'll have Sketch Club all week on YouTube. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So happy, so happy when you are yourself. All right. Well, there's a few of us. It's a niche community, but hey, that's all right. That's all right. We're cool. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.